Hey y'all, it's Megan. Welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are here today. So, you know how it is. Come spend the day with us. We got another busy day planned today. First thing on the list though, y'all, we're always moving something around here, I feel like. But it's the best for our land, and yeah, it's a little extra work, but I think it's worth it in the end. But anyways, we're moving the cows and the horses today over to their next spot of grass, so they'll be happy about that. Finally got him moved. Little bull, he's not used to what we do here, so he thought that there was still a fence up there, so that's why we had a little trouble getting him through, but he'll learn. He'll be with us for a couple of months and he'll figure it out. He'll figure out when the gate is open, that means greener pastures.
See, I've heard in previous videos us talking about how these blackberries, they shoot canes over, they root from the tip, and then they shoot up new plants. Well, you seen when I done the pruning, I cut back all those canes, and now here are the new plants that are coming up out of the ground, and they are everywhere. I mean, we've probably got hundreds of them in here. We're not going to dig up all those today, but we are going to pot up some. I guess, until we get tired of digging. Or we run out of soil to pot them with. And what we're going to do with them is really beyond us, because we don't know. We just know that they're going to get so thick in here that if we don't do something with these new canes coming up, we're going to have a mess.
That's right.
So basically, all we're doing, right there, there's the cane that was coming from the main plant over here that had run down and rooted, and that's where I cut it off. So we're just going to get right up under that cane. Probably going to knock some of that dirt off. And we're going to put that in a pot.
There we go.
We got a lot of digging to do.
Yep.
Let's just bury what we've got so far and see what that, because that right there, they're all coming up from the ground and they're close enough to that trellis.
They'll be okay.
That, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them there. But, you know, they're close enough to our trellis that we can run them over.
True.
We need to go across the bottom side of that one and see if there's any out nosebleed strawberries.
Huh? Let's see. Well, look at, that was pretty smart engineering there, sir. So your jars wouldn't jump around. Good job. There's your little pig update with their muddy noses.
So guys, when it comes to potting these things up, like, you really don't have to be particular about it at all. Blackberries are extremely hardy and extremely tough. You could probably just go and grab a hold of it, rip it out of the ground, and stick it back in the ground. Yeah, that'd be enough. You could go and just stick it back in the ground and it would survive. However, where we don't know where we're going to plant these, we're choosing to pot them up for right now. Because we probably give some away, or we may even stick some on Facebook and try to sell them. I don't know. But once I put it in the pot, see how I give it a shake like that right there? That sort of shakes everything around those roots. Then we'll water them all in when we get done. But Megan actually made the comment a while ago. She said, "You're rough with these things, ain't you?" Because I was just kind of like yanking them out of the ground and beating the roots off. And I'm serious, like, they're tough. Like, you're not going to hurt them. These are some of, I think blackberries are probably some of the easiest plants to propagate there is. You're reaching for another pot. But they're so forgiving, I guess you would say. That would probably be a good word for it. So how many did you say we had? 27?
Yeah, I think it's 27 if I counted right.
27 blackberries.
27 blackberries.
I only seen one in here that I'm a little, that may die. I highly doubt it does die, but it might. But out of all those, they look good. The big question now is what in the world are we going to do with them? I would say in probably a week or two, these will be rooted into the pot. Like they'll root that fast. I guess next thing on the list for today is doing something I don't think any of y'all's ever seen me do on the channel. But keeping our fences clean around is one thing that I think is pretty important to do, and it's probably one of my least favorite jobs to do, is mowing around the fence lines. We're right here on the edge of our property, and this is where our fence goes, and I leave just enough room to get around the fence so I can get around it with a side-by-side, a four-wheeler, or whatever in case we need to. And then I keep it mowed all the way around the fence line, and then eventually I'll come through and weed eat, you know, maybe like twice a year. But just, I think one of the biggest parts to owning a piece of property, a farm, a homestead, or whatever, is keeping the maintenance up on it. Because that's the part that nobody wants to do, but yet that's the part that still has to be done. You know, we all want to be out there working in our gardens. We want to be messing with the animals. We want to be doing something like that. But yet, this is the part that still has to be done if you want to keep up your property the way it should be kept up. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Something else is going to have to be done is I'm going to have to come through here and cut limbs from the trees from the neighbor's property over here. You know, they're starting to hang out, and it's getting pretty narrow through there. I mean, our property line is back up in those woods just a few feet. However, the limbs are hanging out off of the neighbor's trees there, so we're going to have to come through with a pole saw eventually and clear that out too. But, you know, once again, it's stuff like that. You can just keep on putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, but the thing is, eventually it's got to be done. Some of you may ask, well, why don't we run the cows out here on the outside of the fence? You know, maybe put up a temporary wire, let them graze this, because there actually is some really good grass on the outside of the fence. But the thing is, we actually do that in some spots, like over there on the other side where it's easy for us to get them out of the fence and do that. We do, and it's a lot wider over there. As you can see, this is a narrow strip. A cow would hardly have enough room to turn around in this if we put them out there to graze. So it's just basically not worth it. So we just keep it mowed. Alright, so I've got all the way around the pasture mowed. So I'm done with that for today. But I got a quick question for you guys. If any of y'all have experience with this, please leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. So obviously the cows haven't been here yet. I should have showed you out there on a spot where they've already grazed, but I'm done away from there now. But I'm thinking, not this go around, I'm gonna wait and see what y'all say. But I'm thinking of going behind the cows after they've been through and grazed and putting my mower on the absolute highest setting it'll go, which is like 5 or 6 inches, something like that. And just coming through and knocking the top side of the grass, because you can see, you know, the grass is seeded out. Those cows and horses aren't going to eat that seed head. It's just going to stay there. They're only eating the stuff that's down under there, the nice tender lush grass. And not only have the grass seeds seeded out, the weeds are starting to bloom and seed out as well. So I'm thinking if I go behind them, like right after we pull them off of a little spot, go through there with the mower and knock the top side of everything and just move and, you know, mow each time we move the cows. I'm thinking that'll sort of help promote new growth on the grass, because right now the grass is sort of like in its adult stage, so it's not growing quite as fast as it would if it was in a younger stage. I don't know. I'm toying around with the idea. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to mow where we've done today here, or where we moved them from this morning, but I'm just thinking about it. I want to see what y'all think about it too.
Well, y'all, after a long and busy day, it's time to get some supper fixed. So I've had several requests to show you how I make my enchiladas. Now, I make these with pork, with chicken. I'm trying to think if I've ever made them with beef. Maybe. But most of the time it's pork or chicken. So tonight we're going to do pork. So we got to run down to my grocery store and get some canned pork, and we're going to get this going. Should I do 2 jars? That way. Yeah. All right, so for those of you that may not be familiar, I'll give you a quick little update. This is my root cellar. Our house does have a dirt basement. It was built in 1940, and Andy built me this shelf out of our rough cut lumber. If you'd like to see a full, like, go through of all this, I'll link that video. All right, so I went ahead and set my oven to 350, but first we're gonna open up our jars of canned pork. Now, of course, it don't have to be canned pork. You can go to the store and buy you some chunk pork or something, you know, and do the same thing. Or it can be chicken. I do chicken the exact same way you're gonna see me do this. Now, this canned pork, it's got grease in it, so no reason to put grease in my pan. That'll all melt down. I'm going to do 2 pints. It may be a little bit too much meat, but we'll see. So I'm just going to let all that get melted down a little bit.
This is one other thing I was needing to do today. It's not time to mow hay yet, but in case you don't know, this is what I use to mow my hay. And it's getting real close to time because grass is coming out fast this year, quite a bit earlier than normal. I think it's from the early warm weather we had. I've got some work that needs to be done to this thing. There's belts behind this that drive everything. I've got all new belts for it. And then that skid right there, you see how it's misshaped. Well, I'm gonna take it up to Daddy's later this evening, and he's gonna potentially make me a new skid to put right here. And it's supposed to, in case you don't know, it's not supposed to have that dip in it right there. It's supposed to be a smooth surface right across. So with it being that way, it doesn't glide across the ground the way it's supposed to, and it'll dig in. So anyways, just some maintenance items that need to be done, and need to be done before it gets time to use it.
All right, so now that it's cooking a little bit, I'm also gonna add in a pint of my home canned salsa here. And I'm also gonna throw in some of my frozen chopped peppers from last summer. The best thing I did was pre-chop these peppers. What I did was I pre-chopped them, froze them on a cookie sheet like overnight, and then put them in a freezer bag. Man, it's so convenient. Now, I'm going to let this simmer for a while before we do anything else and let it cook some of this liquid down out of it. Now, you can add seasonings to your taste, so I'm going to put actually a little bit of onion powder and some salt and pepper, but that's totally up to you and up to your taste.
All right, so we'll pull this cover off and get these new belts put on real fast. I want to show you what kind of shape my belts got in. One of them completely broke. This one keeps turning over. And so basically these two right here are the only ones that's pulling the whole mower. It's supposed to have 4 on it. They flew all to pieces last fall as I was just about to finish up. And so I made it and got done with it. But it's time to fix it now. You get done? What you been doing?
I've been mowing.
So did you get all of it mowed?
I got that and over there mowed.
So it's amazing how much these belts, I mean, I knew they were wore out, but I had to adjust my adjustment right here all the way as loose as it would go to get the new ones on. And now we've got to tighten it back up, put the cover back on, and that part will be ready to go. Well, that part of it's ready to go. I gotta find me a rope here too. This old rope, that's what you see right there, moves that. When you raise it all the way up, raise that boom all the way up, that locks it in place. But I think this rope's seen better days. So see if I can find me a rope. Like I said, later this evening, like probably really late this evening, I'll run it up to Daddy's and he'll take a look at it and see what he needs to do to build me a new skid steer down there. Anyways, I guess on to the next thing.
Boy, y'all, it's smelling good in here now. So I let it simmer down till it gets about like that right there. It's been simmering probably 15, 20 minutes, something like that. So let's get our tortillas ready. So I'm gonna need a 9x13 pan. That'll be about how many enchiladas we make. So I just do them one at a time. I'll lay them in my pan here. And we'll just start scooping a little bit of meat. Now it's very easy to overfill these things. I have to like watch myself. Because it's super easy. But just put you a little bit in there. Then you're going to we're going to wrap it like a present. We're going to fold up 2 ends and then we're going to roll it up. Just like that. All right, we're going to take 2 ends and fold them up. And roll them up. So now, what we're going to do is take some melted butter and we're going to brush the tops of them. And I've got a little bit extra. Everything's better with a little extra butter, so we'll just pour the rest of that on there. There we go. Now, we're going to stick them in a 350-degree oven until the tops of them start crisping up a little bit. It's usually around 10-ish minutes, something like that. And then we'll go on to the next step. So, I've let them crisp up just a little bit on the top. They're just firm to the touch. You can skip that step if you want to, but I like it. I like doing that first because it makes the enchilada sauce not make your enchilada so soggy. So, I use the old El Paso red enchilada sauce. Y'all, I've tried several times to make my own enchilada sauce. I've tried to find different recipes on Google and stuff, and they're hit or miss. They're just okay. So if y'all have a good enchilada sauce recipe, be sure to leave it in the comments, because I have not found one that I was very impressed with just yet. So I'm just going to pour that whole can over my enchiladas. Put as much shredded cheese on top as you would like. We like quite a bit of cheese. And we're just going to put this back in the oven until our cheese is good and melted, and they'll be ready to eat, y'all. So this recipe is a little bit time consuming, but it's a lot of downtime, you know, between each steps. It's super easy, and I promise you will not be disappointed.
Megan's in there fixing supper, and it's getting close to the end of the day. One of the young'uns is riding around on her four-wheeler, and the other one's riding around on his old lawnmower. So I got one other little thing out here I want to do in the raised beds before I call it quits for today. I'd like to go ahead and get our Kentucky Wonders planted along the trellises here. I've got some store-bought seed, and I've got seed from ones that we saved from last year. So I'm going to be planting a little bit of both. The store-bought seeds, they are old. I think they're from 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know. If they don't come up, well, we'll plant some more. But let's get those stuck in the ground, and then at least we can say our pole beans are planted. So I'm just going to take my little mattock here, pull back the straw that's on top of the ground. And make me a little ditch. throw some bean seeds in it. Mash them down in the ground and then I'll cover them up. And repeat this process on the rest of them. Well, the Kentucky Wonders are planted. They'll be running up all, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3 trellises here. And yeah, we'll see how they do. I think this trellis here was store-bought seeds. This trellis here was store-bought seeds, just this short trellis. And then starting on this long trellis and over there and over there and over there was the seeds we saved from last year. So we'll see how those do. That's really the first time we've ever saved Kentucky Wonder seeds. So I'm curious to see if they do better than the ones from the store. I'm curious to also see if they even come out as Kentucky Wonders, because just a couple of raised beds down last year we had the jade bush beans in there. And so they potentially could have cross-pollinated. I don't know. But anyways, they're planted. So while I'm out here at the raised beds, I figured I'd go ahead and give you a quick update on how everything's looking. So these are onions that me and Jacob planted, I don't know, a few videos back. These are some sunflowers that have popped up on their own, and we've been meaning to transplant those, but we haven't yet. There's some more sunflowers that popped up on their own. There's nothing planted in this bed and that bed other than the beans we just planted. And here's our broccoli. Broccoli's looking great. You know, we don't have no heads starting to form yet, but man, that stuff's looking good. This little raised bed over here doesn't have anything planted in it right now. Then these are the potatoes that decided they wanted to come up on their own. And of course, we just planted the green beans across the edge here. We've got more potatoes in this bed that came up on their own. There's one right there and one right over there. So we're just gonna leave them be. And then these are potatoes that I planted. And I plan to plant tomatoes in this spot right here. And then the container gardens here. Look at these potatoes, y'all. These things are jamming. Then our lettuce, I just watered it, so it's a little bit mashed down. But in Jacob's garden over here, he's the only one of us so far that's got tomato plants planted. We planted those 3 right there first, and he had 1 die. Well, we planted 4, and he had 1 die, so we just replaced it a little bit ago. And then he put the other 4 out of that pack over here on this side. And he says his plan is to plant cucumbers along the fences, this fence and that fence, and let them run up it. And then I think he's planting a row of bush beans down the center there. So, like we've said before, this is all on him. It's his choice of what he's doing, and so far that's what he's come up with. So, he may change his mind by the time we plant it, but as of right now, that's what he says he's going to do. I think it's just about time to go up here and call it a day.
There they are. Good and bubbly. My cheese is melted. You can let it go a little longer if you want till the cheese starts browning on top. Andy and I prefer for it just to be like melty instead of a little crunchy with the cheese. So I do them till they're just like this. So let's get to eating. Looky there. Looks delicious. I'm gonna cut one open and show y'all what they look like on the inside. See that? Looks delicious. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Hope you might have learned a little something. Like I said, let me know in the comments you got a good enchilada sauce recipe that you've actually tried yourself. Google has let me down many a time. So, anyways, till we see y'all on the next one.
Y'all have a good one.